Hi there, I'm Samantha. This is the channel Trying to Get By, and we are doing some bulk cooking today. We have got 4 meals we are making. We are making 4 large portions of each, which will give us 16 freezer containers. We've done this before with different recipes. The last one we did took us about 2 hours to do in total. This one's going to be a little bit longer, but quicker in a weird way. I'll explain why in a minute. So the 4 recipes we've got is a sausage casserole, a spinach and mushroom lasagna. We are doing some meatless meatballs with pasta and sauce. And finally, we are doing a rice and bean casserole. So let me show you what we started off doing and where we're up to and where our containers are and all the different things we're going to need and the best way to prep for this kind of cooking session. So first thing first, I have already got the sausage casserole on the go because this is going to take one of the longest things to do. So have a look at past me telling you about this. Hello back there, future me. So this is past me getting stuff ready for the slow cooker. So let me show you what we've got. So from our Olio hauls, we've got a vegetable medley, some mixed broccoli and, goodness me, green beans and sweet corn, some onions, some more mixed vegetable medley. We've got some cocktail sausages so all these came from Olio. The celery, I think, came from Olio, but it was fresh and I chopped it up and froze it. And again, the broccoli came from Olio, chopped it up and froze it. So altogether, this is going to be a free meal, mostly, because obviously I'm going to add herbs and spices and things like that to it. But to start us off generally, I've got the slow cooker on. I'm literally going to throw everything in. So I've just got the scissors ready just to chop all the packaging. So onions in. Some of this is still slightly frozen. I did get it out of the freezer a couple of hours ago, but it's still slightly frozen. So we'll cook it down. Now, if I'm making any kind of casserole thing, I want things to generally be bite-sized. So if some things are just a little bit too big, just give them a snip down with my scissors. Obviously if I was making this from fresh, I would cut everything to the size that I want it, but when you haven't got it fresh, this is what I do. So again, the green beans are not too bad, but the sweet corn's a bit long, so I'm just gonna, like I say, bite-sized pieces. There we go. Now, celery is going in. Chris doesn't like celery, but it is very, 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 very finely chopped. So let's pop that in and it will disappear into it. So you can see there, look at the size of these pieces. These are tiny. Then we've got the other broccoli. There we go. And finally, our sausages, which I have cut in half on the top. There we go. We are full to the brim. Now these, let me know in the comments below. Do you wash your bags? Because I wash mine. These have only had frozen veggies in. They are perfectly usable again. I will wash them and put them to dry on the drainer. So those are good. All I'm going to do now in here is pour in some boiling water just to get everything going. Probably a couple of cups worth of boiling water. I'm going to pop the lid on, get it going, and in an hour or so when everything's defrosted and started moving, I'm going to put in just a good couple of tablespoons of mixed herbs and some pepper. I'll put salt in at the end if I think it needs it. Anything else going to go in there? Maybe some onion powder and some garlic powder. I think those are the main things that I'm going to put in there. So we're back to future me now. So now we're a couple of hours in. We've already got the sausage casserole, like I say, on the go. That was 2 hours ago that I got that sorted. The rest of the things that I've done now is you need to do a little bit of prep. So get yourself a drink, something to keep you hydrated. Make sure your sink and drainer are clear. Your sink's got some hot soapy water in it. You are wearing shoes that you can walk around and feel comfy in because you want to make sure that you are good to go. We've also got some of our food. We've got 90% of the foods that we need out and ready. Let me explain what we've got here. Right, so basically meatballs, dead easy. Got these meatball mixes from Rogers Wholesale. Pennies per box. I think they were like 20-30p a box. So we've got those. That's going to go with some pasta, which is still in the cupboard, and I will get that. But it's basically, we're cheating. We're going for basic bolognese sauce. So all I need to do with these is make up the mix, roll them, fry them, and we'll make some pasta. We're pretty much good to go on that one. Second dish, lasagna. So we've got our lasagna sheets. We have got some red sauce if we need it, which we're going to use just as a basic layer. We have got our spinach that I've already cooked. This came from an Olio. I think I got like 5 bags of spinach a while back. This was all before Christmas. And all as I did was used what we need, and whatever was left, we just cooked off and put in the freezer. This is all defrosted now. Again, Olio got loads and loads of mushrooms. So again, in preparation, chopped them up, fried them off. So these are cooked and froze them. So they've been out defrosting. Peppers are not for this dish. We're going to put some onion in this dish as well. One thing that I have done is made myself a nice little list of things that I know I'm going to need. So the basic ingredients, so noodles, garlic, onion, mushroom, spinach. We're going to make a white sauce using some nutritional yeast. And I have got some vegan mozzarella. Red sauce is going to be our jar. Basil, oregano, I've got in the cupboard. Salt and pepper. And a little sprinkle of cheese on top. And our layers are going to be sauce, noodle, veg, white sauce, noodle, red sauce, veg, white sauce, noodle, with a final noodle, red sauce, cheese on top. So that's giving me my basic. My rice and bean dish, quite simply, is rice. We've got some tinned beans. Again, Rogers Wholesale, pennies per can, absolute bargain. We've got the red pepper. We've got another onion. Both these onions I got from an odd box, which I got for free as a tester. We have also got some cherry tomatoes, which I did actually buy from Tesco's because they were on reduced. Sweet corn, Olio, prepared myself, I had loads of corn on the cob come, so I literally just cut it off the cob and froze it. We've got some herbs and spices going in there. We've got a tin of tomatoes going there, which I got from Waitrose when I had Waitrose vouchers before Christmas. So again, free. And then just some veg stock. So that's quite simple for that. The dish I'm going to do first is the rice and beans, which is going to be nice and simple, and it's just going to get dumped in a tray. So let's get that organised. So first thing I've done in this dish, this casserole dish that I'm going to use for it, which has got a lid, if it hasn't got a lid, just throw some foil on top, was chopped up onion. The other chopped onion I've chopped up and is in a frying pan ready to go for the lasagna. I've got my oven on. It's on at 180 fan, which I'm probably going to turn down to about 170. So next ingredients is I'm using a cup of rice, which is about 200 grams. I'm then going to go in with our beans, which, let me just check. I'm just going to give these a quick rinse. Right, I've rinsed those beans. Now, this contains a mixture of beans. You can use whichever beans that you particularly enjoy. There we go. That's gone in. Just going to chuck that into our bowl of soapy water. Next, a tin of tomatoes. These are plum tomatoes. What I'm just going to do is just give those a little chop in the pan, not the pan, the can. I normally used plum tomatoes because they do seem to give a bigger, better consistency. There we go. Just chop them up as they come out. There we go. Spread that around, just making sure I've got a nice even layer. There we go, get rid of our bits and bobs. We're going to go in now with some peppers. You chop these peppers how you like. I just happen to chop them into strips. These haven't been cooked, the peppers. These are just fresh peppers chopped up. There we go. And then some of the sweet corn. Again, some of these are still quite frozen, so this is why I'm doing this one first, because it'll take the longest in the oven, and also to cook the rice. There we go. Now we're going to go in with our herbs. So a little sprinkle of paprika, probably about a teaspoon of turmeric, probably a little bit more than a teaspoon of cumin, some black pepper. If you know about turmeric, you need black pepper to activate the good stuff in the turmeric, because turmeric's meant to be so good for you. I am just going to give that a little mixeroo. I'm not too worried about it too much, because I am going to pour the stock over the top, which will then pull the flavour into the container and into the rice. I'm then just going to put some whole tomatoes just kind of shoved in. There we go. Whole cherry tomatoes, in they go. Right, now we have our stock. This is a blended stock I get from Unicorn Grocery. It's a bouillon powder. It's got all sorts of lovely stuff in there. You can see it's absolutely full of goodies. So I'm just going to pour that on. Like I said, I'm just going to pour all over. So then all those spices will go into the dish. This is about 700 mils of stock, which I'm just going to give it a wiggle. Right, I'm going to keep the rest of that stock. Once it's cooked down a bit, I'm going to pour the rest of the stock in. So that's dish number one. Lid on. That's going to go in the oven. I would imagine it's going to take about an hour to cook, possibly longer. We'll just see. It's mostly about making sure that the rice is completely cooked. I'm going to go and check on my other onions, and we're going to start getting the lasagna ready. What I've done next is I've just cleared down the work surface, ready to put out our containers. And we're going to do the next step. So our onions are frying off. I've got a pan here with pasta ready with some salt. I'm just going to pour some boiling water on there. There we go. Give that a little stir. I can just use that spoon, doesn't really matter. There we go. So I'm going to put that heat on to keep the pasta going. At the back, I'm just going to put on another pan with milk in. This is soy milk. So I want to just make sure there's enough for us to make our bechamel sauce. I'm not doing a proper bechamel. I am cheating. Oh, please forgive the noise. This is my baking cupboard. We've just hung up all these in here to keep it tidy, but every time we open the cupboard, it goes clunk. We forget, and sometimes it makes us jump. I'm just going to get some, excuse me, some corn flour. And what we're going to do, let me just pop this down and pop that over there, is I am going to find a whisk, a small whisk. Here we go. We're going to pop in our corn flour into our milk. So about 2 tablespoons of corn flour. We're going to whisk that in because the milk's still cold, so it will go in there. There we go. I'm going to turn the heat on there and get that going. Careful my onions don't start scorching. Right, in with my onions, I'm just going to turn the heat down there. I'm going to put some garlic. This is just jarred garlic. It's about 4 cloves of that. Give that a little mix. Only going to cook that for a minute or so. I'm going to pop in our spinach. Break it up though, because it's in clumps. The spinach disappears to nothing, it's crazy. I say this is about 3 bags of spinach. Right, there we go. So this is going to be our vegetable mix. We're going to pop in all those mushrooms that we've got in our bag. If I can get the bag open. There we go. So this is going to be a superbly, supremely mushroomy lasagna. Right, just to give those a full mix. And there's a little bit that still just needs defrosting. So it's just a case of warming this up just so that it's ready. Excuse the clang. Not too bad this time, just putting the corn flour away. The next thing I'm going to do is our meatball mix. So in this bowl here, we have got cold water, ice cold water straight from the fridge. And all as we do with this is we pop our mixture in. And again, we're using 2 to make sure we've got enough meatballs. And give that a good mix. I'm going to use my double balloon whisk. So this is really good. That small whisk that I've used over there fits into the middle. And then you can have got one that's a metal one and one that's not a metal one, or you can clip them together to make a bigger one. There we go. Just mix it together. Now that looks sloppy, but obviously it's a Paxo mix. So all as it does now is the water will get absorbed into the mix and then it will be able to be handled and used into meatballs. This I'm just going to go straight into the wash, give it a whisk, take it out. So that's going to go on the side. I'm going to keep an eye on our white sauce because we don't want that to get lumpy. There we go. So just keep mixing that. In fact, I'm going to swap pans because it's not very safe me leaning over this pasta if I'm mixing. So that can go on there. This can go here. I'm going to turn the heat down on this one because it's a bigger ring. There we go. That's better. That's a bit safer. Health and safety in the kitchen. To our frying pan, I'm going to put some herbs in. So I've got some oregano, or oregano, however you wish to call it, about a tablespoon of that, and about a tablespoon of basil. So the good thing is when you finish, make sure you put things away. So I'm just going to go and bin all this packaging. If you keep on top of all your packaging and putting things away as you go along, this makes it so much simpler. There we go. Right, how is this thickening? I can feel it starting to thicken slightly. What I'm going to add to it now is some nutritional yeast. This will also help thicken it. So that's about half a cup of nutritional yeast in there. Now, if you're not vegetarian and you're just making a normal cheese sauce, just go ahead and throw a load of cheese in there. There we go. Next thing I'm going to get is our mozzarella cheese from the fridge. Right, I just got this mozzarella cheese. This I did get for free. If you watch our end of the month grocery haul, you'll see that I've got a load of vouchers for Sainsbury's. So I bought this from my Sainsbury's with vouchers. So this has cost me nothing. So I'm going to put a little bit, not too much cheese in there. So say another half cup of cheese, and we'll save the rest for the topping. Again, give this a mix, and we're just waiting for it to thicken up and get into that nice creamy stage. This is good to go in a minute. So once everything else is ready, we're going to get to assembly. So while waiting for the cheese sauce and going back and mixing, I've just done a little bit of washing up. Yes, see, proof I do wash my baggies. Cheese sauce has thickened. Vegetables are nicely defrosted and all integrated with the herbs and things. The pasta is al dente, just slightly under, so I've turned that off. We're going to bring that over here and just pour it into a colander. Let's move that wood in. There we go. and we're going to douse it with cold water because we want to get the temperature down as quickly as possible. You're probably looking very steamy there. We are not in a sauna of any description, although it feels like if you look at my windows, you can barely see outside. I would normally have the extractor fan on, but if I have the extractor fan on, you won't be able to hear me. So this is our pasta. I'd love one of these spray nozzles, which would be much better. It's on the list of things to buy when we've saved up. There we go. Taking the temperature down, like I say, as quick as possible to stop it from cooking any further. I'm just going to leave that there to drain off before I start putting it in the containers. And now we're going to do some lasagna layering. Right, first of all, we're going to start with some of our sauce. This is just a jarred bolognese sauce. I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to use, which one is the best one to use? Probably just going to use this small spatula just to spread out. This is mostly to stop the noodles from getting stuck and also gives them a base of moisture to start the cooking process. So there we go. First layer of noodles down. In we go. 1, 2, 3. This is where we start breaking. I also put, I like to have it right to the edges. So there will be quite a bit of crunchy assembly going on there. So we'll save those for the other bits. Then we decided, how did we decide we were going to do it? So sauce noodle, then some veg. Let me get something to put the vegetables on with. So there we go. So some of our mushroom spinach mix. There we go. Okay. And then next, some dollops of white sauce. So I'm going to get a spoon for doing this. Now, how do you like to finish your lasagna? Are you a red sauce on top at the end or a white sauce on top at the end? I generally normally go for the white sauce on top of the end, but it all depends on how much we've got. Next, more noodles. I've got different size noodles, so if you're wondering why, because there's 2 different packs here, these are looking a bit smaller. Actually, we're going to go that way now, I feel. There we go. Put our big other bits that we've got left to fill the gaps. Not too bad. And now I'm going to go down with a bit more red sauce, then veggies. So red sauce. Spread that around. And some more vegetables. There we go. Vegetables again. I think we should be able to get another layer out of all this veg. There we go. Make sure every area's got some. Also, make sure, good planning is make sure you've got a cloth that you can just wipe your hands on, not necessarily to keep them perfectly clean, but clean enough that you can carry on doing stuff. There we go. Right, noodles. I think we've got a mixture of the big and small ones this time. So which way did we go? Well, that way, now we're back to this way. So all the crunchy layers, all the dodgy layers are this side. So I'm going to go do with the nice pieces this time. Oh, happen to have a nice end there. Hey ho. Let's block that in there. A bit there. A little bit to finish, and then back to a little bit more red sauce. That's the end of that jar. Okay, but we do have more jars if we need them. There we are. Veggies. Scrape it all up. We're going to get quite a lot of moisture out of these veggies as well. Oh, there's a bit lumpy bit of spinach there. I'll just spread that out. Make sure we've got plenty everywhere. Right, this is the last of our veggies. So this is our final full layer. I'm just going to make sure I scrape every part of this pan in there. There we go. That can go straight in the sink, ready to be washed. Spatula can go in the sink. Actually, just give my hands a quick flick around the sink. And then a little dollop of white sauce. And we'll finish with a lasagna sheet, and then we're just going to put white sauce on the top, I think, because that's what we've got most of. Just going to spread a bit out to the edges. Do you like those crunchy edges on a lasagna? There we go. Just save enough sauce for the end. So last sheets of lasagna. I'm going to go, which end did we do? We did that end, didn't we? I'm going to do this end again. 2, 3. This is going to be so hearty. 4 little bits. Have we got any more little bits? No. I have to break another sheet. Oh, not too bad. There we go. That'll do. Last bit now. Just going to give this a rinse in the sink because I'm going to use that to scrape the lasagna white sauce out of the pan to make sure we don't waste any of it. There we are. Okay, that's all that sauce. Again, just pan it straight in the sink. Spread this around. There we are. Make sure we've got right up to the edges. And then ultimately we are going to finish with our cheese. Now I'm not going to put this on until near it to the end of the cooking time. So when I've got about 20 minutes left, I'm going to put this on because I don't want it to burn. Now vegan cheese doesn't melt as well as normal cheese. So it's a little bit different. So that's why I'm waiting a little bit longer. So this is going to go into the oven. We're just going to have a quick wipe down and then we're going to get on with our meatballs. You can see our meatball mixture has gone a lot firmer now. It is sticky. I warn you now, if you have gloves, use gloves. I have not got gloves. However, what I will be doing is spraying my hands with some oil. This just helps a little bit from it sticking too much. And all I'm going to do is get a spoonful of meatball mixture, roll it into a ball, put in a little oil of it as well, will help with the cooking process. And then as soon as I've done one, it's going straight in the frying pan. So I'm going to now carry on doing these until they are all rolled. Now, if you want to keep track of where you're up to in the frying pan, don't just throw them in. Go round in a concentric circle, starting at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and go round, and then inside if you need to do it, then go round, and then you know which ones have been in first, and so you know which ones to turn. So I'm going to carry on with that, and I'll come back to you when we're done. Just checking on the casserole. It's looking hot and steamy. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to put in some gravy granules. Yes, cheating, but the easiest way to make it nice and thick and have a lovely sauce. So I'm just going to pop that in. That'll probably take another 10 minutes just to thicken up. There we go. Let's have a little taste. Just get a few little veggies there. Still got enough bite to them without going mushy. Because that's the worry sometimes when you put, I'm going to put a little bit more down. The worry when you do a dish like this is that you're going to end up with vegetables that are gone mushy because you've used frozen vegetables, but there's no worries with that here. I'm just going to put in a little bit of salt as well and just give it another little mix, and then about 10-15 minutes time we're going to start serving this up into our containers and letting them cool. Okay, so where are we up to? So we have finished the meatballs. I've put them in. I had 2 left, so I've cut them in half, so each one's got equal meatballs. The pasta's cool. All I did was pour on the sauce straight from the jar. Those are all sorted. We left it for extra minutes. It's all done. We've tasted it. I put a little bit of extra salt in. It was fine. We've plated up. These are just cooling down. With our dishes from the oven, I told you the vegan cheese doesn't melt very well. It's weird. Anyway, this is done. I am just going to leave these for half an hour to set up and be easier for me to cut. If you can see here, I've just dug into this dish just to check the rice, and the rice is cooked and tastes lovely. That's really nice. Again, this, I am just leaving it to cool for a little while before I start dishing it up. It is nuclear hot, and I just don't want to have to handle it. So I'm going to dish these 2 up at the same time. So give it about half an hour just to cool down, and then we are good to go. Now, if you look at this dish, this is plenty for one, a really hearty meal for one. But we've said before in our previous one, we can make this into a dish for 2 by adding some garlic bread to it. This again is a hearty dish for 1. But while the oven is still on, what I'm going to do is I got some pastry in a bread and butter thing haul recently. So I'm going to get the pastry out, roll it out, cut it up, so that if we do have this as a sharing portion, we can have some pastry with it. So I'm just going to cut it into quarters, put it in the oven, bring it out, cool it, and then I'll carefully wrap it in some cling film, or I will just put it into a sealed bag. So I'm just going to go and do that while the oven is still on, make the most of the oven. And like I say, in half an hour, we're going to go back to the things over there and dish them up. So I've left all these things for a good half an hour just to cool down and give me an opportunity to make sure they're set up a little bit. In the meantime, I did cook the pastry that I mentioned. So that is there. I'm going to leave that again to cool down, and very carefully I will be putting it in some bags for the freezer. I think what I'll probably do is I will freeze it on the tray first before I put it in a bag, and hopefully that'll keep it nice and puffed up. So we're going to decant these. I'm not going to video me decanting these because that will be me making a mess probably. So I will show you when they're in these containers in about 5 minutes time. Okay, I've just taken out the first slice of lasagna, and I just wanted you to see the side of that. How good does that look? That looks so, so nice. And I cut it, so I went round the whole edge with my spatula, and then I cut it with a knife into the fork, and it fits perfectly in the container. So there you go, super delicious. There we go. There are all our 16 meals made. We have got our rice casserole. We have got our lasagna. We have got our sausage casserole, and we have got our spaghetti, well, pasta and meatballs. Like I say, meal for 1, make it for 2, add garlic bread. Meal 1, make it for 2, add the pastry. Meal for 1, make it for 2, let's add again garlic bread. Meal for 1, make it for 2. We could put some cornbread with that. We could put some potato with that. We could put some coleslaw with that. There's plenty of things we can do with that. Don't forget to use your wipeable marker on there to make sure that you have labelled everything up. I then put a list on the fridge of everything, and once one meal's been used, we wipe it off so that we know that a meal's been used and how many we've got left. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you a little bit of inspiration to do a bit of forward planning for those nights where you might not want to cook and you just want to chuck something in the microwave and it's all there ready for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Oh, by the way, if you've not seen the other video, I will put a link over here or here. Look, take a look, see what you think. Let me know.